and we can start.
It's almost by the end, so.
Have to leave about 1/4 hour.
Yeah, there's not that much time.
Looks like we got paid by Queensbury.
No?
Motion to adjourn, that's been my biggest concern since I joined.
In John.
Can I start?
Coming up?
John, do we have sound?
Hey.
Hello, Laura.
Hello?
So we're still trying to get the tech stuff going, so I didn't miss anything.
We're
Just start. There's a big truck out there blocking the.
Yes.
Yeah.
He pulled
I got
up
here
and
just
just
before
right in
it.
front of me.
They pulled down the curtain on some of these new buildings over here, they look nice.
Yeah,
Head
that
the
looks
right
beautiful.
direction, so.
That's that.
Around ceremony on.
Chris, you like the blue?
Yeah, I think that was the wrong channel.
The edifice work that he's.
Why are these numbers different? This is the change me?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
that's just one because the rest of it's.
Yeah.
So what happened was at the last minute, after all the
Right
financials
over
were
here.
done,
Yeah,
But
I
I
noticed
noticed
between the heading on
Yeah.
that
yeah, it said that.
balance
He needs to
balance sheet
file
was
it.
wrong.
Yeah.
And so then I redid the heading, but I didn't update.
board meeting tomorrow.
You know how
Yeah,
Or Thursday.
so can I call this to order? Are we on?
we're on.
I'll call the meeting to order. Thank you everyone for being here. This is the Audit and Finance Committee meeting. We've been provided information from the staff and our Jim. And I will move into that with the approval of the April 8th, 2025 meeting minutes, which have been provided. Is there any questions before I ask for a motion to approve? Motion
I
to
didn't
approve.
get a meeting.
It's right in here. I wasn't, so.
It says you were.
You,
I was.
yeah, you were.
Says you were.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Jim? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Abstain, and Laura will abstain, and nay. Motion carries. I'll go on to the review and approval of the April 25 financials, which have again been provided to us here. I would like to turn that over to staff to review anything that's here.
Good afternoon. So there was a last minute change. Thank you, Jim, keeping you all on your toes. So you have the new number is the one that has the highlighted. The only difference was that fund balance number and the actual balance sheet. So the fund balance is $1,042,000. Investments, currently everything is in a money market fund. It's $207,000. I still haven't been able to get into communication with Adirondack Trust as the bank where we want to move it to, but I'll make that more of a priority this month. The current yield rate is 4.26 on the money market, which is why we're not moving anything into T-bills right now. It's a better rate than we're getting on T-bills. Cash is $325,000. Accounts receivable, you'll notice has gone down. What's owed now is $143,000. That's Warren County. I did get paid for the LDC. I expect the EDC check to come in soon. City of Glens Falls for their first quarter. Harris Beach for their membership, and Town of Queensbury is paid. Accounts payable, that's actually going out this month. That's the $11,000 balance for the audit. And there's a small credit there you see because health insurance changed. Prepaids are health insurance, business insurance, rent, and Houston website the website maintenance. These are all items that are paid once and then distributed across the year. Statement of activities, we're 20,000 below on memberships. We do still expect some money to come in. I'm not sure we're gonna get 20,000, I don't know. Expenses, we've basically covered that 20,000 with the savings on personnel, with Emily gone, and overall, we're ahead of budget by $8,000.
Question for you. Do you have common area maintenance charges that you
We do.
expect?
Yeah, you just sign that check.
Okay, so do we budget for that? Is it quarterly, monthly? It's gonna be monthly, yearly?
It's,
Part of our lease agreement. Is it
right, but it's
separate
twice a year, it's a separate line item, it's
Okay.
twice a year.
Twice a year. And,
I think we budgeted 5,000.
are you within budget? Because I know it
Oh,
was
yeah.
a surprise
Yeah,
at
yeah.
one time. I, just noting on the statement of financial position, which is not, it's not wrong or anything like that though, but when you moved the investments in April, you didn't move them in December, on the statement of, financial position. So it's not a misstatement, but it's not comparable. And I don't know what to say, the 270 is, you moved it down to investments on April 30th, but
Yeah, so
it's as if there's no dollars there. So it made the cash flow analysis, obviously, the cash flows look a little funky, I think it was.
yeah, I can talk to the auditor and see if there's any harm in actually making that change since it's not material. to
Yeah, it's just a
2024.
reclass, it shouldn't be, so the statement of cash flows, it looks like the investments changed and they didn't really, I mean, there was some
Yeah,
number, but.
yeah, I understand.
Laura, what's your thought on that? I mean, we all know it, and when we go to do it, it's gonna be back in cash at the end of the year.
Well, she could probably make a quarterly adjustment to adjust it quarterly if you want to keep it in line. And then the accountants will just make an annual adjustment to put it back
Put it
in
back.
line.
The key is that I don't know who uses these financials, in terms of how we report or whatever, and I wouldn't want it to go to somebody who use it thinking that there was a major change in investments.
Mhm.
I know we asked for December 31st, so it's,
We should include a note here,
yeah, they're just doing an asterisk or something
well, right on your summary.
on here.
I
Okay, for the board
suppose you could
meeting.
actually move that up into current assets as opposed to other current assets. Technically, that's put where it is correct. But if you're worried about the presentation in terms of the heading,
No, only because it says December 31st has zero, and then we have 270 in April.
right, but
But
the
it's sitting in
checking
cash.
account, it's up in the checking and the
It's in
cash
cash.
account.
Right,
So, I mean, I'm saying if you, this is the correct where it belongs, but I mean, they put it back in cash because it's liquid.
Yep.
And it's not really considered an asset,
investment,
investment.
Yeah.
They're,
because it's liquid and you can,
yeah, it's not
Tomorrow
like the
get it all.
stock market, yeah. So
okay, so
you
you're,
probably should have an account up there that says money market or T-bills and be kept that way if you wanted to be clearer of your
No,
cash statements.
I understand it, as long as it's not gonna mess anybody up, we're good.
Well, there's two reasons to do it. One is so that the board and any auditors can track it. And the other is whatever you want to present optically to the public. Because the discussion of what we're doing has been a part of the record all along.
Well, I can save the discussion because they're no longer investments. They were T-bills, they were not liquid, they are currently in a money market fund, they're liquid, I can really move
I
that.
think it's
And
really
move it
about
right
being
back
able
up to
to
cash.
track so that when an auditor or an outsider is looking at this a year from now, they can easily discern where did this spark go? And as long as there's a note, a footnote or, some kind of note about it, to me, it seems like that's sufficient. Unless you're concerned about some kind of public disclosure.
Nope, I understand, I get it, it just looks different.
I think that the concern being that when somebody sees investments, there's usually a risk exposure to that. And what she's saying here, and I understand it correctly, they're money markets, and outside of being over the cap for your $250,000 FDIC, there's really not a risk exposure there.
Yeah, so the reason, I mean, they got moved earlier in the year when they were still T-bills, and it just made it easier to separate them from the cash line item, especially on the
I
cash flow
coordinate
statement.
whatever note that you
But-
write with your auditor so
Yeah.
that they.
Yeah.
We'll go with what they have to say.
But truly, I'm really just gonna move them back up to cash, because it's just a money
That's
market.
fine, but make sure that the note is language that they
Yeah.
acknowledge.
Any other?
Do I want to approve the financials or move on to the, oh, yes, we'll do that. Are there any other questions on the financials? If none, can I ask for a motion to approve? Motion by Jen, second.
Second.
Second by Judy. If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
All right,
Opposed, abstained, the motion carries. We'll go on to the draft of the EDC 990. Just a titillating,
Was
delightful
everybody-
thing to read.
Still draft? It's not, you didn't.
No, we have an extension, so that it could be reviewed. Everybody was able to open?
I didn't, I was
I
not.
wasn't able to open it.
I don't have a solution. Or-
It came up with a blank screen. I
Yeah.
tried it both inside and outside the cloud and I
I thought it
couldn't.
was the only one that I was looking through.
Yeah, I was just trying to do that.
Did you not, once you did the Gmail account, it wasn't, it's such a mess. I'm sorry. Anyway, I tried to send it multiple times.
Well, if you wanna send it to me through my secure link and give me a list of who you want me to send it to, I can send it out securely through my
For
secure
the
link.
board
Why
meeting.
can't they do it? Why
They
can't
should
the
be able to do it,
auditors
but they're
They
gonna
can, she's on vacation. I mean, I could reach out my relationships with Jennifer, but yeah, if you want me to have them send it out to the board, I can have them do that. Okay.
That would be ideal, because our firm really shouldn't be in the middle of it, but
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
rather than have the,
Even if they do it after the fact, they want them to be the ones.
Then you know you've got the right draft or whatever, you know what you got.
Okay.
In case anything changes or, okay.
Well,
And they're not referring to it as a draft.
No, but this looks like a permanent.
yeah, this says
client
client copy, this doesn't say draft for review.
In their opinion, this is fine.
Well, they presented it to us as final. Like, you have to approve it to be posted.
yes. You don't,
Is there
actually,
anything that you wanna bring to our
be clear,
attention?
you don't have to. We don't, it doesn't have
You
to go by.
just have to validate that you did review it.
Okay,
Well, it gets checked off on the list here. There's a item that asks whether or not the board has reviewed it, and either it's yes or no. It's not mandatory that the board review it, but I think it's better practice that the board review it, so people do.
Well, if they answered that the board received it prior to filing,
Yes,
then that has to happen.
yes.
Whether the board likes it or not, that's a whole different story. But that, I believe you're right, the question's worded as, was this distributed prior to filing?
It's, 11A, section B, page 6 of the 990.
It's also in our board self-evaluation checklist that the board has had the 990 provided.
is there anything that you wanna bring to our attention that is odd, because in the general, looking through, I don't see anything that is,
No, I think we just need to remove Matt
In the past
Fuller
years,
as the past chair.
in the past years, the only thing that has moved from year to year was this treatment of investments, whether we open it to us. Other than that, it's been a stable document, and just the dollar figures changing
Yeah.
from year to year for a lot of it.
and this is 10/31, right? Yes, 12/31. It's 10/31.
2000, you mean the date?
Yeah.
Fiscal year? Yeah.
Yes, so, okay,
I don't have anything to really draw your attention to.
Okay.
I've gone through the whole thing. I cross-referenced the numbers, everything.
so our approval then, if there's no questions, I would ask for a motion to approve, not the draft, I would take that word out, but it's the final filed version, correct? No, you
Well,
said it's
it
on
has-
extension.
yeah.
The final
So
just the final
CPA
version.
provided,
That Matt Fuller still listed as the only issue.
Yeah.
Was he on at the beginning?
Actually, well, so the other small issue is also that the mission gets, it gets cut off. So I just asked them to
the words.
put the mission, make sure the whole mission appears.
Well, they'll have to do a statement for that, that probably won't fit on the line.
Do you
Separate
think
page.
it matters? Does it really matter? I don't think it.
It could be a smaller font size.
Most tax software doesn't have that luxury.
Going to a smaller font size.
You're not typing it, it's a
It's
database
filling it.
program that's populating the actual.
Yeah, well, then I'm
form.
not gonna ask them to change it. I think it's fine. People can find the mission in several places, but we need to.
How
remove
is Matt listed?
As the past
Past
chair, so
chair.
we need to put Mitch as the past chair.
But that didn't occur until April, so technically I believe that for your calendar year, it's not wrong.
When we submitted the
Um,
annuals from last year, he was listed as the past year.
Okay,
It's a little bit of semantics about when it happens
Sure.
inside the year.
yeah, okay, so then there's nothing, absolutely nothing that needs to change.
Okay, with that in mind, again, I would change the verbiage here that it's the final CPA provided, not a draft. I would ask for a motion to approve.
Well, it doesn't list Mitch as a board member. He was a board member even if he wasn't as chair.
Well, he should be under his past chair or at least
He has a list
on the board, yeah.
on the board. He has a for clusters.
How would-
It's not a huge issue, but
How would they have missed that?
Well, I think it's anybody that sat during the calendar year of the
Right.
tax
They
return has to
actually,
be on
they
that
didn't
list.
ask any questions, like with the LBC, they send me lists and lists of questions with the,
Well, I would suggest that if you approve it with that.
With Mitch in it.
Yeah.
And leave,
with
Matt,
the cap,
or
with.
take Matt out.
Matt
And
can stay for the year, that was
That's
a hybrid.
discretionary, but Mitch has to be.
Mitch
Okay.
needs to be added.
Okay, so then the motion should include that.
Are we motioning to approve it in committee and take it to the board, or are we motioning to approve it and file it?
Well, when we did this, last month, when we did the audit, it was all done by us, and we didn't have the board approve it.
In fact, the discussion at the board meeting was that they wanted to make sure that you reviewed it.
And that we were
As
comfortable.
far as they're concerned, I think they're,
I think that they're going by what we.
Yeah, that we spend the time on it. So this will be given to the board members.
Mhm.
But at the next meeting, they don't necessarily have to approve it, it's more for reference that we've already approved it. Okay. So, can I ask for that motion with the change noted? Thank you, Jim. Second to the motion? Second, Judy, and there's no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, that motion carries. Discussion is auditor status.
I have, do you wanna talk about that? We have a couple of auditors that we can reach out to. I got some names from,
Did we lose our auditor?
we did not.
You
The
just doing the right
question
thing?
was that whether we could find a better rate. However, I just wanna say that changing auditors, I don't know if it would be any cheaper to change
at least not in the first year.
What's
Not
the
at
rate?
all.
I don't know, that's why I gotta find out the rate.
What was the rate this year?
14.5. Like, I'm not sure that there's anything,
I had asked, 2 meetings ago, like, before it was done, like, engage them now type thing, because I knew the contract was up.
Well, they've
it's
given
for
us,
year to year.
they've given us a price for us to use them this year with no ongoing obligation. So we could agree to that. We haven't agreed to that until we decide whether we want to evaluate how much.
What's that?
Where is it consistent to what you paid this past year?
Didn't we receive that? She talked to me about it. I'm assuming that she sent that to you. She said it was gonna go up by 10%.
$1,400. I mean, to change is a significant activity that is painful the first year, generally
Maybe
speaking.
they haven't pushed out their formal announcements on it. When she had her last touch base with me, she told me that they would like to continue to do business with us. It was obvious that we could, like, she knows that most boards have a process where they look at alternatives.
This has been a major and painful issue for the city's public authorities, and if we could stay with them, I would recommend.
Changing?
We-
Stay with them.
Yeah, I
No,
think,
I mean, changing has been an issue.
We lost, they stopped doing audits.
so
Yeah,
we asked the question to consider it, and so this discussion, generally speaking,
We'll just continue to keep this as an
Yeah.
item on the agenda until it comes to closure.
as long as they're doing government audits, and it's in
Yeah.
there, there's several
They seem good.
firms that are stopped.
At this point, we've reached a good operating rhythm where we're getting the backside of the efficiency on it.
Mhm.
I'd advocate that we stay until we have a reason to move.
Yeah, I don't think that price is,
Oh, wow. So we don't need an approval or anything, it'll stay out there for now. We'll move on to review the real property acquisition disposition.
So we don't really have anything for you to review, the legal review's still going on. So we had input from both you and governance that we tried to get Bob to help us with, as well as evaluating several questions that none of you raised, but that we think are relevant. So,
the acquisition, I mean, we've talked about this before, and I'm repeating myself from other meetings. Right now, we're not looking to acquire anything that I'm aware of. So the most important one is the disposition.
and particularly around these,
And so, what?
particularly around these.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, that's what we need them to put. at the top of their list.
So
I would try to get that done.
Well, he's provided us with input around the lease that we were evaluating, so it should be fairly straightforward.
Okay.
They just sent us the letter reaffirming their status because they went through a merger as a legal firm.
Oh.
And I think it might just be in that backlog of stuff that they were waiting until that was resolved before they sent to us.
Okay.
We just got that the other day,
Which,
a letter from
yes,
them saying that they're now at,
a higher rate.
well, yes, the rate has changed, but their firm is now 4 names instead of 3.
What's the firm?
Or it's the.
Harris Beach, Martha Cole,
Harris.
Harris Beach is the right firm. They do good work for us and they have continuity on many of the most significant legal engagements we've had over the last 10 years. And so, as long as we have the same lawyer and their rates are competitive, I would advocate that we stay with them. But the issue they had was they were evaluating whether or not under their new persona, they could continue to operate as our legal representation. We just got the letter saying they could.
Well, I
No
think that
conflicts.
I think they do a good job of staying on top of particularly what's going on in Albany at the legislature related to this stuff. But sometimes when it comes to things like this, Carol Last would be just as good as helping you come up with this policy. And she does.
So maybe I shouldn't say this in a meeting where it's being recorded, but we use Carol a lot under the guise of the LDC.
Yeah.
And then we take that guidance and oftentimes implement it.
Well, we needed the acquisition policy for both.
And she's dealt with so much of this
Yeah.
stuff related to property, for both, Warren, Washington, IDA, and.
You'll see that our legal expenditures have come down. That leverage is part of it.
She would do this in an hour for you.
Yeah.
But if that property is, if that's moving forward quickly and you need to move forward, I would be in favor of bringing her in as an advisor on this one issue,
Okay.
if you need to get it done.
Don't listen to
Again,
their
I
advice.
don't think she'd charge you that much, and I think she'd take an hour to do it, so.
Let's see how quickly.
Yeah.
He's got it.
All right.
On to other business.
I don't have any other business. Do you have other business?
Is there a need for an executive session? Does not appear so. I will remind you that next board meeting is May 21st. It's a regular board, and the next audit and finance is June 10th. And I would ask for a motion to
Adjourned? I'll make your motion.
second. All in favor?
Who's that?
Laura, Jim,
Laura said,
I made it, Jim seconded. Back to my
For
pledge.
June 10th,
She was
June
twisting my
10th is
arm.
the
I didn't
next,
want the meeting to end.
How long are you going?
I'm leaving on the 13th of June, and I'm coming back on the 23rd, 10 days. So we're gonna be 4 days up in Yellowstone, in North Yellowstone, we're going in Bozeman. And then 4 days in Jackson Hole. It'll be fun.
we're off record, right?
Wait 1 second.